Hello and welcome to Fall 2025. Tonight I have with me Logan. How are you, Logan?
Good. How are you, sir?
Oh, can't complain.
Good to
So,
hear.
Logan,
Hmm.
welcome to the show. You are the
Thank you.
first ever spotter we have had on Full Throttle.
Wow. I'm a part-time spotter, but that's awesome.
Yeah.
Really. It,
So,
it's
so,
Go
so
ahead.
let's
Yeah.
jump right into it.
What was that?
I said, let's jump right into it.
All right.
Um, so what what do you enjoy about racing? Uh, Helping someone stay safe on the racetrack.
Um, I just I really enjoy all elements of it. I mean, it's a very involved job. Kind of the way that I got into racing was through Formula One. I was a Formula One fan before I ever was interested in NASCAR and stock cars. And through some sim racing, I was a race engineer for a couple buddies of mine on iRacing and the F1 games, and just getting into NASCAR and starting to work for a team. Spotting was the closest equivalent within NASCAR to being a Formula One or open wheel race engineer. So I talked to my boss at the team I work for. 'Cause he'll spot part time in Cup and Xfinity when he can, and just talk to him about it, and he helped me get going. And I went to the track and spotted for the first time and just loved it. It was a lot of fun. It was a really cool experience. And it's my career end goal at this point is to be a full-time spotter.
Yeah. So what what provoked you could get into spotting? I mean, like iRacing is cool and stuff, but you had to have seen other people like your boss do it
Right.
or something along that
Yeah.
line to fall in love
Um,
with it.
I did a lot of research. I was actually at the Daytona 500 in 2024, and the guys that I went with two older fans, and one of them rented the racing electronics scanners for us with the headsets. So I got to listen at the track to the spotters talking to their drivers and hear how they coordinate strategy at super speedways amongst manufacturers and how they spot at super speedways. And I learned very shortly after that at work that the NASCAR app, you can pay for access to a scanner on your phone as well. And so I picked up that subscription and I just started watching races with the scanner on. It's not always perfectly synced up, but it does a good enough job. And I was doing that, and I started spotting on iRacing very shortly after that as well. I did that from February to June until I got the opportunity to go spot down at Mid Ohio for ARCA. And that was my first spotting gig. And it was really just listening to the scanner and listening to how spotters talk and putting that to use through iRacing, and then getting to a point where I was ready to actually go to the racetrack and be a spotter.
Wow. It sounds like even just talking about it, you're getting emotional about it.
Yeah.
Why are you so passionate about the career path you chose?
Um, Probably because I never thought I'd work in professional motorsports. That just it wasn't my. That's one of those things that in the back of my mind, where if I ever get the opportunity, it'd be a dream come true. But in the back of my mind, I was a small town kid from Ohio. There's Indianapolis, but that's 4.5 hours away, and NASCAR teams are all down in Charlotte. I'm thinking in my mind until I learned about the team that I work for now, which is 20 minutes from where I went to high school. But it's I went out and I forged my own path and I started my career on my own. And I, with help from other people, such as my boss and some other people that I look up to at work, um, I've built my career up over the last year and 2, 3 months. And it's something that I've always wanted to do. And I never thought I'd have the opportunity to do it, let alone to this degree and this quickly.
Yeah, so talk to us about Daytona. Are you going to Daytona and spotting your first super speedway race?
No, probably not. The way that it really works, so you've got the ARCA guys that
Yeah.
race Friday nights and usually followed by the Truck Series Friday and then Xfinity on Saturday and Cup on Sunday. Usually what winds up happening is the guys that spot for the Cup Series on Sunday, they have Xfinity teams that they spot for as well. They also have truck teams that they spot for as well. And if ARCA's in town, usually they'll do ARCA as well. So you can be spotting anywhere from one race a weekend, depending on, if it's a standalone truck race or standalone ARCA race, all the way up to spotting 4 races a weekend. And I know sometimes, if there's a modified or a late model series somewhat close by that's running on like a Wednesday or Thursday, sometimes those guys will go do a series like that as well, just as not necessarily a one off, but if they can pick up the gig, they'll pick up the gig. So for a race like Daytona, if you're not a full-time cup guy, it's a little bit hard to pick up gigs for Xfinity, trucks, ARCA. And I just personally, I don't think I'd be ready for a super speedway like that. I'd want to put in a little bit of time on iRacing with the driver that I'd be working with and really learn the nitty gritty of it because spotting at a super speedway is much more involved than spotting at a short track or an intermediate track just because of the drafting and the pit strategy and all of that.
Yeah. So is that your only goal is to get to where you're comfortable on the super speedway? Um, kind of spotting and just keeping someone else calm?
Yeah, that's definitely one of my midterm goals right now. I like to have, when I was an athlete in high school, I found it helpful to have short-term, midterm, long-term goals. Long-term goals are a couple years out, midterm goals, that's maybe an end of the season thing, and then short-term goals are stuff that you'll hit over the course of the season. So that's definitely maybe a midterm goal, if not a long-term goal, but that's definitely on my radar as a focus and a goal.
All right. So tell us, are you currently in school to
Um,
be a better spotter? Or who do you look up to, I guess?
yeah, guys that I look up to, I work for Thor Sport Racing. Very proud of where I work. I really look up to my boss, David Pepper. He's our team manager. He's been in the industry for 30 years, and I got the opportunity to do Xfinity and Cup with him at IMS. And I remember sitting out behind the hauler for the team we were spotting for, and just people going by. He knew everybody in that pit area, and they'd walk away, and he'd be like, "Oh, I gave him his start in the early 2000s," or "Oh, that guy worked for me in the late 90s," and he knew a lot of everybody. Another person I really look up to is Rich Lucius. Rich and I do not work very closely together at Thor Sport. He's a crew chief. I work in the logistics and transportation department. So on a day-to-day standpoint, working together, we'll talk most days if our paths cross, but him and I don't work very closely together, but I work part-time at Sandusky Speedway where he's the race director. And so he's my boss over there. And it's given me the opportunity to work very closely with him and learn from somebody who's a really great leader within the truck series and NASCAR as a whole.
All right. So one more question and we'll let you go
Mhm.
do
Okay.
what you need to do.
Mhm.
But if you had to spot for any NASCAR driver right now who's in the top
Oh,
three series, who would it be? And
oh,
probably why do you feel you would have that connection with that driver?
that's a good one, actually. I've never really thought of this. I mean, my main instinct is I want to go. I want to say Kozlowski or Blaney. The region of Ohio where Ryan Blaney and his family is from, which is kind of the Youngstown area. That's where all my family's from. I was born in Youngstown. My grandfather raced at Sharon Speedway, which the Blaney family, they are now part owners of. Um, my grandpa knows some distant relatives of Dave Blaney and of Ryan. Um, so definitely probably Ryan Blaney, but I'm also a big Brad Keselowski guy. Brad, when he was working his way up, he raced at Toledo Speedway, which is 45 minutes away from where I went to high school and where I live. Um, he's from just over the state line of Michigan and Ohio. So he's another local guy who's made it to the upper echelons of American stock car racing. So those two guys are really guys that I'd love to work with eventually. Of
Well, thank you for your time tonight on Full Throttle.
course.
Hope you
Thank you
have
for
a
having me.
good spotting career this year and look forward to
Appreciate it.
having you back on in the future to talk about
Yeah, of
that
course.
journey.
Maybe after this season or halfway through.
Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to get some stuff lined up right now as a secondary. So for road courses and for big tracks like IMS, sometimes you got to use more than one spotter. That's where a lot of my experiences come from. So I'm working on trying to get some stuff lined up for this season. My 21st birthday is the day of the Xfinity race down in Circuit of the Americas in Austin. So I'm really trying to be at the track on my birthday because that would be awesome. So,
Well, you heard it here. If you're looking for a spotter, we got you one. We got you
yep,
Logan. So by all means, click on it, learn about his capabilities, and it's been fun getting to know you, Logan. But
a fun
on behalf
discussion.
of Full Follow, I thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Goodbye, everyone.